Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. As I predicted, that upcoming UAP report is going to be a bunch of nonsense. The New York Times today has released an article, and the headline reads, "Many military UFO reports are just foreign spying or airborne trash. Forget space aliens or hypersonic technology. Classified assessments show that many episodes have ordinary explanations." Okay, so basically this is an advance on this report that's coming out, which is basically what this is it's a glorified press release that the New York Times wrote on for the Pentagon for some reason. The reporter here, Julian Barnes, wrote this article, and we're going to look at some of this article. I'll leave the link for it. You might get greeted with the paywall, but I'll leave the link nonetheless. Anyway, this is what it says. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just some sections of it, and then we're going to talk about it. It says, government officials believe that surveillance operations by foreign powers and weather balloons or other airborne clutter explain most recent incidents of unidentified aerial phenomenon, government speak for UFOs, as well as many episodes in past years. The sightings have puzzled the Pentagon and intelligence agencies for years, fueling theories about visiting space aliens and spying by a hostile nation using advanced technology. But government officials say many of the incidents have far more ordinary explanations. Intelligence agencies are set to deliver a classified document to Congress by Monday, updating a report made public last year that said nearly all the incidents remain unexplained. The original document looked at 144 incidents between 2004 and 2021 that were reported by United States government sources, mostly American military personnel. This article is based on interviews with American officials familiar with the findings of the Pentagon and intelligence agencies' examination of the incidents. The officials spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the classified work. Now we're going to stop there for a second. Now, why would you be talking about this, anonymously? Well, why can't this be out there? Because they're not telling you anything. What are they telling you? So basically, here's a scenario I imagine. Who's this guy here? Julian Barnes. Okay, this reporter gets contacted by some anonymous intelligence officials, right? And say, hey, look we got a scoop for you. We got a scoop for you, Julian. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. That report's coming out, but we're going to give you the scoop beforehand. We want you to get this in the New York Times, okay? Now look it's not really extraterrestrials from outer space, nothing like that, right? But what we found with a lot of these cases, right, it's really what it is. It's airborne clutter like balloons and stuff like that. And wait to hear this, Chinese drones spying on us. What do you think of that, huh? And then, Julian Barnes is all excited about this. Oh my God, I better get back and write about this in the paper, right? For the New York Times, okay? So he goes walking away, I guess. I'm just imagining what happened, how this all went down, all right? Because I can't figure out any other reasoning here. Because we're going to talk about this anonymous nonsense in a second. So he goes off, and then as he walks away, the two intelligence officers that most likely met with him someplace and gave him this top secret information, the big scoop, right? They're like, boy, he fell for it. Hey, when we get back to the office, the general might even promote us for this one. Boy, this guy's a dummy, and he's going to tell the whole world in the New York Times what we just told him. Boy, we're way ahead of the curve. I mean, that's how I see it. This is why is this? Why anonymous? Well, seriously, why would this be anonymous? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? I mean, the report's about to come out. It has to be released by October 31st. It might be getting released as I'm doing this podcast. For all I know, right? It's supposed to come out. It's supposed to be released by the October 31st, which is a few days here. So what's all this secrecy about? I mean, basically what this is, make it sound mysterious. What the Pentagon did here is a really good trick. Really, really, really think about it, right? Okay, we'll provide this information to the New York Times anonymously, right? And then the average dummy out there walking the street will say, oh, wow, did you read that story in the New York Times? Hey, the reporter got some anonymous source in the Pentagon to tell him that it's only airborne clutter and Chinese spy drones. How about that? Not aliens. Huh. Wow. Now let's all move on with their lives. That's what it seems like to me, right? So, anyway, let's continue reading this press release that the New York Times put out today. Some of the incidents have been formally attributed to Chinese surveillance with relatively ordinary drone technology, and others are also thought to be connected to Beijing, China, which has stolen plans for advanced fighter planes, wants to learn more about how the United States trains its military pilots, according to American officials. Much of the information about the unidentified phenomena remains classified. While Congress has been briefed on some of the conclusions about foreign surveillance, Pentagon officials have kept most of the work secret, in large measure because they do not want China or other countries to know that their efforts to spy on the American military were detected. I don't think that's that's probably partly true, but there's more to this than just Chinese drones spying on us. Let me tell you. Anyway, continuing, but such official secrecy comes at a cost, allowing conspiracy theories about government lies to thrive unchecked. Well, let me tell you something. They thrive unchecked. Conspiracy theories about the government thrive unchecked because you ain't checking them. The New York Times, you're not checking it. You never have. Oh my God. Have you not read the books by Richard Dolan, UFOs and the National Security State, volumes 1 and 2? Have you not read those books? Have you not done any research on this at all? Everything is just a press. The Pentagon called us up. They say, here's the report. Okay, let's just write it up and get a couple of comments. Right? There's no research. You don't do anything. You never really researched Roswell. You've never researched anything. Unchecked because you don't check it. That's why it's unchecked. Wait, there wouldn't be these conspiracy theories if you guys would have, blew the lid off this years ago, decades ago. You're still playing along with the Pentagon nonsense. Anyway, let's continue. Sue Goff, a defense... let's just stop there. Not Susan Goff. This guy refers to this person as Sue Goff. It's a little bit more personal here. Doesn't it seem that? Sue was like his buddy. It's Sue Goff. That's not Susan Goff in the story. It's Sue Goff because he must be a person. He must be really talking to this person a lot, right? She's a Defense Department spokeswoman. Okay, so it's very personable. These people sound like good friends to me. Okay, anyway, said the Pentagon remains committed to principles of openness, but must balance that with its obligation to protect sensitive information sources and methods. While the Pentagon will not rush to conclusions in our analysis, Ms. Goff said, no single explanation addresses the majority of unidentified aerial phenomenon reports. We are collecting as much data as we can, following the data where it leads, and will share our findings whenever possible, she said. It was not clear how much of the new intelligence report would be made public, but of the cases that have been resolved, most have proved to be either errant junk in the sky like balloons or surveillance activity, officials said. Incidents recorded in the past year for which more data has been collected have turned out to have ordinary earthbound explanations. Officially, many of the older incidents are still unexplained, and there is just too little data for Pentagon or intelligence officials to make final conclusions. Well, that's just an outright lie. That's like an outright lie. Come on. So you're going to say all the older incidents, they're just unexplained. We never really looked into it. They've been looking into this since 1947. This is the biggest, this has been bigger than any classified operation in the United States since that time. And we have proof to that. There's been documentation that proves that. We know this since at least 1950. Okay. Anyway, here's another comment from Goff. She says, in many cases, observed phenomena are classified as unidentified simply because sensors were not able to collect enough information to make a positive attribution. Ms. Goff said, referring to cameras, radar, and other devices that collect information. We are working to mitigate these shortfalls for the future and to ensure we have sufficient data for our analysis. Other officials insist that even though the evidence is imperfect, the grainy videos do not show space aliens. How do you know this? Okay, it's not space aliens. Even though we don't know what it is yet, but I'm saying it's not space aliens. It does not show that. How do you know? If you don't know what it is, how do you know what it is? Oh my God, is that so stupid? I mean, what are they trying to do here? They think everybody out here's the problem. A lot of us are dummies out there, right? Anyway. Continuing here, we'll get into more of this as we go. Optical illusions. Oh boy, you gotta love that one. Optical illusions, along with the characteristics of classified sensors, have caused ordinary objects like drones or balloons to appear to be something unusual or frightening. Oh my God, the lying, the obfuscation, it's just a nonstop cover up. It doesn't end. I mean, they're still covering it up. They could come out with the truth, but they keep playing this game. Okay, yeah, okay. Of the 144 objects, right? I don't know. I guess if we do get to see the full report, right, we'll find out that since last year they found out that now I think out of that 144, one of them was a balloon. Okay, that they figured out. That's what they told us a year ago. Now maybe this time they'll tell us, about 25 to 35 or 45 of those 144. We found out that some of them are balloons, some of them are junk just floating around, and some of them are Chinese spy drones. But we still don't know what the rest of it is, right? But hey, it's not space aliens. The videos do not show space aliens, period. Now, how do you come to that conclusion? I don't know how you could come to. If you don't know what it is, then how do you know it's not space aliens? I'm not saying it's space aliens either, but how do you know? Anyway, continuing. Again, this is written for people. This kind of article is written to fool people, to basically treats us like kids, like we've been talking about this whole past week. Treat us like dummies, like idiots, morons. And some people are going to look at this and just move on with life and think, oh, they solved it. It's just Chinese spies. Huh? Who would have thought? And I was really starting to think it was aliens from outer space. Anyway, continuing. In May, the Pentagon announced that previously released images of green triangles that looked like they could be alien ships were actually drones photographed through night vision lenses. Military officials declined to say precisely when or where the images were taken, but they believe the incidents are examples of attempts to conduct surveillance on military maneuvers. UFO skeptics and experts in optics have long said many of the videos and sightings by naval aviators represent optical illusions that have made ordinary objects, weather balloons, commercial drones, appear to move faster than possible. Military officials have largely come to the same conclusion. I mean, of course they're going to come to the same conclusion because they're lying about all of this. They've been lying about it for years. See, the whole thing is, again, there's a whole bunch of people out there that have seen these things up close. I've seen one up close. It wasn't a military drone. It was too big. Made no sound. In the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. Right over my head, right? And I saw one of the beings. I encountered one of these beings. It was not human. So there's something going on here, but they continue to play this game. Boy, stuff like this really gets you angry. Anyway, and that green triangle stuff that we're hovering over the ship. Okay, so they're saying that that's the bokeh effect, right? When the cameras that were used, they have this triangle in there, and the light basically it illuminated the aperture, the triangular aperture, and made them appear like triangles. But really, they're just drones. That's what they're saying. They think that that's what they were, right? They don't know what those things were. Okay, they might have been drones, but from who? Or they might have been drone sized, but from who? How do you know they were from China? You don't know that. Do you have one in your possession? They're not saying that. They don't know what they are. They don't know where they came from. They're in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden there was a whole bunch of them. It wasn't just one or two. There was a whole bunch of them, according to the reports that I've been reading. Where was the base that China was sending them from if they were drones? Again, this is all nonsense. They're just playing games with the public here. Lying, again, continuing to lie. Looks like they're pulling back here. I've been talking about this. They're pulling back. There's elements in the Pentagon that are trying to pull back. Anyway, it says here, continuing, it says, besides the images of the green triangles, the other recordings released by the Pentagon have not been categorized as surveillance incidents, at least so far. But Pentagon officials do not believe that any of them represent aliens either. Now, how could they say that? How do they know? How do you know? How do you know it doesn't represent aliens? How do you know this? You don't know it, or you do know it. One or the other. You actually do know it. You do know that some of these represent aliens. There's most certainly a faction within the Pentagon that knows for a fact they're aliens. All right. One of the videos, referred to as Go Fast, appears to show an object moving at immense speed, but an analysis by the military says that is an illusion created by the angle of observation against water. According to Pentagon calculations, the object is moving only about 30 miles per hour. Another video known as Gimbal shows an object that they're going to trying to take down the Gimbal video now that they released. Another video known as Gimbal shows an object that appears to be turning or spinning. Military officials now believe that is the optics of the classified image sensor designed to help target weapons, make the object appear like it is moving in a strange way. Now all of a sudden, now they think they have the answers, right? Oh boy. Pentagon analysts remain puzzled by some of the videos collected by the military. One where an object hovers over the water, jumps erratically, then peels away, and is more difficult to explain, officials said. But analysts who have studied that video, as well as ones associated with eyewitness reports from aviators, are convinced it is not a piece of alien technology. Now look at, now let's stop here for a second. Okay, there was this object out there. We have never seen anything like that before, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's not alien technology. How do you know that, sir? I just say it's not. It's not alien technology. I'm certain of it. Anyway, continuing. None of this stuff is making any sense to me. None of it. Nevertheless, here's continuing the article. Nevertheless, efforts by the Pentagon or intelligence officials to stamp out theories about aliens have largely failed. And they're going to, let me just stop there. They're going to continue to fail because you're a bunch of liars. You've been covering this up. There's a group in the Pentagon that knows everything that's going on, and they're lying to the public, and they're using the New York Times as a funnel to get this bogus nonsense out there. Make it look all mysterious with the anonymous sources, you know. Well, why do you need anonymous sources to tell us, hey, guess what? It's like I said before, it's just secret Chinese drones spying on us. Imagine. Like, that's a big deal, such a big deal. Like, we don't know. Like, we're just figuring out now. We're so stupid. We're in the year 2022, right? We're just figuring out now the Chinese are spying on us just now. We just figured it out just now. Anyway, continuing. The Pentagon has formed and then reformed groups inside the department to improve data collection around the incidents and provide better explanations. Yeah, better made-up explanations. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like they're coming up with better made-up explanations. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of this trash. But yeah, you know, meanwhile, on Twitter, you know, this, I think it looks like UFO debunker Mick West is ready to nominate Julian Barnes for a Pulitzer for this, the way he's talking. This is junk. It's junk journalism. Basically, it's a press release. This is a press release for the Pentagon. That's all this is. Basically, they wouldn't talk to him on the record to try to make it sound more mysterious. If they would have went on the record, these intelligence officials that Mr. Barnes met with, and this guy, I'm sure, Julian Barnes, I'm sure, you know, he thinks he's cracked a big story on this, you know. Hey, Mama, all that money that you and Papa spent to send me to Harvard is really paying off. You wouldn't believe the article. I just proved today in the New York Times that aliens aren't coming here. I know now. The Pentagon told me. By the way, when do you stop by tonight for some champagne cocktails and caviar to celebrate? Come on. This is a big joke. New York Times is a joke. All you damn mainstream media. When it comes to the UFO topic, you guys just don't know what you're doing. You're terrible at this. Terrible at doing investigating this. You don't know what you're doing. You're not applying the Watergate tactics to this. Instead, you just give the Pentagon a free ride on this the whole time, and they're just laying this stink egg on the public again. They're trying to cover their tracks. It looks obviously there's a faction within the Pentagon trying to pull it back now, Okay, yeah. I mean, the story could have been written in a different way, but the agents, the top secret intelligence guys that met with this reporter, right? Obviously, they wanted the story to come out this way. They didn't want to say that there's a lot of stuff we still don't know about. They want to say, we did figure out that some things are probably Chinese drones and probably space or air junk, you know, air clutter, right? That's how they wanted this thing to go down. They wanted it to come out like this. So, yeah, it's a big joke. You can't trust the Pentagon. You can't trust the New York Times or any mainstream media when it comes to the UFO subject. This is garbage. This is absolute trash. It's junk. Again, we talked about this. You know, a lot of people talk about this leading up to it. Leading up to this story, and I knew there's not going to be much to it. It was going to be a dog and pony show. It's actually a little worse than I thought it was going to be, though. They're trying to downplay it. They're trying to pull back a little bit, you know. And guess what? The mainstream media will do whatever they say. They always do. Basically, again, this is a press release. This is a press release that was, you know, from the anonymous sources that provided it to this reporter, and then he thinks he did a great thing. Again, the debunkers out there are like in a heyday today. Look at, hey, you know. Let's give Julian Barnes a Pulitzer for this, for talking to two anonymous sources from the Pentagon who gave him the details of a report that's going to be released in 3 days anyway.